Hello everyone. Today I'm going to bring you a recap video of a recent tournament that I fished at Lake Hanover in Marburg, Pennsylvania. Lake Marburg in Hanover, Pennsylvania. That's where it was. Lake Marburg in Hanover, Pennsylvania, which is located right here in the south central portion of Pennsylvania, near the Maryland border. So this was a KBS tournament, and I'd never fished a KBS tournament before, and I was very impressed with the people that showed up. Everybody was warm and welcoming, and we just had a great time. Everybody had a great time. They had great prizes, great people running the show. Everything was cool, I have to admit. And I also probably had one of the best days of fishing in recent memory for bass fishing out of the kayak. Specifically, maybe my best day out of the kayak ever. I don't know. But Lake Marburg is a really cool lake. I suggest you go out and check it out. Codorus State Park, or Codorus State Park, has some really nice campgrounds. I really enjoyed all their facilities, and overall it was just a great weekend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this ugly mug off of your screen, and I'm going to show you what baits worked for me, describe a little bit of the technique, how I found the fish, and what ended up resulting in a 52-inch bag of 3 fish. It was a 16, a 17, and a 19-inch fish. Not too bad by anybody's standards, I think. So let's get this off of here and show you the baits. On Friday we did some pre-fishing, and we found that the fish were deep, 25-30 feet of water, sitting on the bottom. So I thought to myself, drop shot would probably be the ticket. It's what I'm comfortable with. But what I didn't know, and what I didn't count on, was a lizard bite. As you can see here, I've got the zoom better than salt lizard in Houdini color. Now this lizard, get this out of here so we can concentrate on the bait. Get that out of there so we can concentrate on the bait. This bait has a lot of sparkle to it, as you can see. On the top it's clear. On the bottom it's a little more opaque. As you can see, it's more of a milky color. This bait killed it on Friday. I mean, I think I ended up with 45 plus. I think it was actually 47 inches on Friday for my top 3 fish. And they were all caught on this bait on a drop shot. Now I know that doesn't make sense. You say to yourself, well, why are you using a lizard on a drop shot? I don't know. The fish were eating it, and that was enough for me. So I went into Saturday morning very confident in the lizard. Okay, so Saturday was the big day, tournament day, and after fishing Friday and slaying them on this lizard, I felt great. I actually ended up tying 2 rods with lizards. One in this Houdini color and another in a green color, like a green pumpkin color, or watermelon green actually, with red flake. And I threw these things for the first 2 hours, feeling confident as you could be. But I wasn't getting any bites. So I said to myself, you know what? Don't be a dummy. Get away from it. It worked yesterday, sure. But today's a different day, so time for a different tactic. Get that out of here. What I ended up being successful with, what provided a lot of my fish, was this bait here. It's made by Biospawn. It's called the Plasma Tail. This is a finesse worm, as you can see. It's very thin, it's very pliable, and this tail is floating plastic. So when this thing is on a drop shot, it goes crazy. You picture this tail floating up, give it a little jiggle, the fish they just can't help themselves. And what I also found in using drop shot was the fish were locating to what seemed to be hard bottom. I could feel a harder bottom with my sinker, and I could also see exposed rock on the shoreline. And that was my landmark, if you will, for where I would really start to dig down and search with my fish finder to find these fish. Wherever there was exposed rock on the shoreline, there typically were fish in 25 feet of water or so. So what I was doing is I was casting to the deep side of the weed edge, and I was getting tangled up in the weeds a lot, which is typical. That's where the fish are, so you've got to get down and dirty. And as you know, the typical approach with a drop shot is to nose hook it. And I've got an example here. This is a nose hook drop shot. But this thing will get caught in the weeds, man. So what I was doing, and I've never seen this before, but I mean, it's just common sense. I'm not going to act like I'm some kind of guru or genius here. But what I was doing is I'd go ahead and almost Texas rig this worm to where the point of the hook just barely sticks out. Now, yeah, it's a little crooked looking, but this hook has a swivel on it, and it's got quite a bit of play. So the bait ends up hanging horizontally when it's in the water. And as you can see, it's clean. It'll slide right through those weeds, and that was key. Once I figured this out, I wasn't getting snagged on the weeds, I wasn't spooking the fish, and I could just slide that worm right along the edge, running parallel to the edge. Maybe get a little hung up here and there, but not a lot. And I really feel like that was the ticket. I wasn't spooking the fish, and I was giving them something that they may have not seen before, and they just couldn't help themselves. This bait also has a nice smell to it as well. It says here, enhanced with bioscent. I don't know what the bioscent is, but it smells pretty fishy to me. This bait produced well for me. I think it produced 3 measurable fish. And it's probably something that I'm going to go ahead and include in my arsenal for the rest of the year. Another bait that came through for me in the clutch was this 412 Bait Co. 3.5-inch minnow in the tournament series watermelon silver color. I found myself sitting in second place behind by less than an inch, and I said to myself, okay, you know, this is the time when you really got to crack down. Let's get rid of that 11.5-inch kicker. Let's get something bigger. So what I decided to do was completely change my tactics. I went shallow, and I started punching weeds. And believe it or not, this is what I was punching with. And I guess you can't say punching. Let's say I was finding the holes and I was exploiting the holes. And the way I was rigging this was on this stand-up mushroom head. Now, I don't want to shred the worm because I love these things and I want to save them. But you get the idea. Hook it like that. Cover your point of your hook. You get, there we go. So it's almost a Ned rig. And the thing about these 412 baits, especially the tournament series, is the action. I mean, this thing just wiggles on its own. So you can imagine those bass are sitting down there in those thick weeds, and this little guy comes punching along and just starts wiggling like crazy on the bottom. Of course they're going to eat it. And that right there brought me 16-inch fish, which put me into the lead as far as I knew. I continued to fish hard and plug away. I was using this. I was going back to the BioSpawn. Nothing was working. I even dug out a flutter spoon. I bought it the day before and was finding some fish deep and thought, you know what? Let's give it a try. I ended up catching one little dink on the flutter spoon, and I just told myself, you know what? You've got the lead. It's time to really fish aggressive and protect that lead. So what do? Boom. Back to the lizard on the drop shot. And at this point it was later in the afternoon. The sun was high, and I thought, you know what? Let's give this guy a trick. It's the similar conditions as it was on Friday, the day before. This thing has so much glitter, I just couldn't help myself. So this lure ended up getting me a 19-inch bass, which was my biggest bass of the day. It what I thought locked me down for first place with 52 inches. But that wasn't the case. The guy that ended up winning had 56 inches. He turned his fish in late, so I didn't know. I have to admit, it wouldn't have stopped me from fishing any harder than what I did. I wouldn't have given up. I wouldn't have changed anything. At first I was a little annoyed, but that's part of the game. And like I said, it didn't change my game plan. So I felt great. I caught a 19-inch bass right at the end of the day. I was actually right next to a large pontoon boat, and even a couple of my competitors freaked out a little bit. You know, it was a big fish for our tournament, and he was heavy. And I got him in the boat. I got some pictures. A new friend that I met from across the road from me at the campground happened to be there, so he got me a couple pictures, as you'll see here in a second. And I just had a great time at the KBS. And this isn't a knock against any of the groups out there. They all put on great shows, but I really love this lake. I had a great day of fishing. I liked our campsite. Just everything was perfect. My fishing partner Kyle, we really worked hard together to figure out a pattern, and it all worked out. It worked out great. And I got to thank everybody at the KBS and just everybody fishing for a great experience. Okay, like I said, the KBS really hooked everybody up with prizes and gifts, and everybody walked away a winner at the end of the day. Not everybody won cash, but everybody went home with something. The top three, which was me included, since I was able to manage second, lucky. Everybody got in the top three got this body glove inflatable waist pack. This is go ahead and open it up, make it easier to explain. This is a Coast Guard certified PFD. It's about the size of a fanny pack, and it's CO2 charged, so when you fall in, give this guy a yank and you've got a PFD. It's small, it's compact, it's not going to make you sweat on a hot summer day, and just kind of out of the way, but we'll be there if and when you need it. And like I said, everybody got a prize. My prize was a free pair of footwear from Body Glove. I sent the guy an email, and within days I received a new pair of kayaking shoes. I don't have any in this style, but I have to admit I've worn them around the house. They are very comfortable, and I'm guessing that they're going to be great out on the water. They've got pretty good grip. They look like they're going to drain well. It's got a neoprene liner in there so that it'll dry out well. It even has a little bit of drainage in the sole. And that's actually a trouble area for shoes. A lot of the time water will get caught in the arch of your foot and sit there. So this is going to provide some ventilation and some additional drainage. I'm sure you can find these on Body Glove's website, and thanks to Luke at Body Glove and everybody at the KBS staff for getting these great sponsors, putting on a great show. And congratulations to Jason McCrae for kicking my butt with 56 inches. Congratulations to everybody else who competed. I hope you all had a great time. And I know I did. And hey, believe it or not, Zoom lizards work in Pennsylvania.